You likely clicked on this video because you are tired. And tired of what, you may ask me? Tired of feeling stuck, tired of your day feeling like a constant repetition of the last, and the last, and the last. So today I'm going to talk to you about how to get yourself unstuck from this never-ending hole that you feel like you're in. First off, I'm here to tell you that it's not going to stay like that forever. Okay? I know for a fact that if you told me this 1 year ago, I would not believe you. But I am physically in the exact same place, in the exact same room where I've struggled mentally, where I could not get myself out of bed. And I'm doing so much better this year. Okay? So I'm going to tell you about the small differences that I made to get myself out of this loophole, and some things to keep in mind as well, because sometimes we feel like we are the only ones that keep ourselves stuck in life. And while that partially may be true, partially it may be to do with your thoughts, it may be a lot to do with just your environment and whether it's actually helping your growth or keeping you stuck. But what people tend to forget as well is it's who you're surrounding yourself with, and also the content that you are consuming, which, by the way, people have made, if not AI. So the first thing I want to say is how I'm able to get myself unstuck despite being in the same room and contributing that to my whole depression is getting outside of my room. And that may seem like a no-brainer, but if there is a reason you feel stuck right now, like, I knew what I needed to do to get myself unstuck, but I stayed comfortable being stuck, if that makes sense. And that is something that we don't want to do when we're trying to grow, when we're trying to elevate the quality of our lives. You're not going to get anywhere by doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. So that is what I had to change this year about myself. This year I went out and got my license. Last year I learned how to drive so that I could get my license. There are so many things that I look at in my room that forever stay like implemented into my room, if that makes sense. I don't take out my list of goals. They are there for me to look at, for me to be quote unquote taunted by them, because if I'm not taunted by my goals, I'm gonna stay stuck. And if I'm gonna stay stuck, I'm not gonna be happy. And if I'm not gonna be happy, I'm gonna be continuing to fulfill this self-fulfilling prophecy of I am stuck in life. No, not this time. The other thing that I want to talk about as well is pay attention to your friends and your family. Everyone is going to have different things to say about this, but one thing I have observed is that when you're trying to get yourself unstuck and your friends or your family are used to seeing you stuck and struggling, it is going to be them honestly grieving a little bit. And they may not see it in themselves, but it's almost like they are going to expect you to be stuck or expect you to feel stuck, because that is the image that they have created of you in their mind. And not everyone is going to be like this, but you'll start to realize as you're getting yourself unstuck that some of it may have to do with the people that you've been surrounding yourself with. Granted, this is not going to be the advice for everyone here. You may have a fantastic circle and it may just be your own mind that's self-sabotaging you. But it is one thing that I'm really picking up on in my own life as things are changing. I am getting a job. I'm going back to the gym. I'm doing things for myself that feel gratifying because you know, when you've got that learned experience of helplessness, you don't want to be stuck there again when you have the knowledge to move forward. But this is the thing with a lot of people. Trust me, a lot of people project, and it's very fascinating to see the support that you'll have when you're struggling, the support you'll have when you're not doing so well, versus when you make that conscious shift to stop complaining about things that are not going so well in your life. You know, listen, things could be going really well or they could be going shit. that's just how life is. It's either one or the other. But either or, you stop complaining to these people, and then you start to notice, okay, why are they still bringing up my misfortune though? Like, I'm graduating from this concept. I've got my diploma and I'm ready to use my experience and move forward from this. You start to think, what the hell? Like, is this really how people are associating me? Sometimes it is, but sometimes these people can be the reason why you feel so stuck. So it's important to kind of run an audit on your own life. Journal about it if you have to. Speak to a friend, speak to a therapist, do what you need to do to get those answers, because these answers are everything. If you know it's you yourself that is keeping you stuck, you need to rewire and reframe the relationship that you have with yourself. If it is your friends or your family that is keeping you stuck, I'm not saying be super immature and just cut them off, but try and gain an understanding of maybe why you're feeling certain feelings projected onto you. The biggest difference is learning, are these my own? Did I source these feelings from my own state of mind, or is this someone else feeding their projections into me and I'm consuming them without even realizing it? One thing you have to know is both of those toxic mindsets, whether it's yours or someone else's, that's food poisoning for the mind. You don't want to poison your mind when what you're trying to do and what you're trying to put out is health, you know? So that's the biggest thing that I have to say when it comes to getting unstuck. Now, I can speak for hours. I could speak for hours on this topic because it is something I know very well. But I just want to touch on that most importantly, because a lot of the times when we're consuming content, or we're constantly trying to spend time with people, or even isolate ourselves and numb our thoughts with anything, whether it be drugs, whether it be just, you know, brain rot scrolling online, being places you shouldn't be just to escape your own mental state, like that really does beg the question of how strong is your relationship with yourself. And ideally what we want to cultivate is a good relationship with ourselves, because as I'm navigating this change in my life, it is opening up my eyes a lot to how people may be perceiving me. And people are allowed to change, whether it's for the better, for the worse. They can do whatever they like. And I think the biggest threat for some people is realizing, hey, like, you don't want to be sad, you don't want to be depressed, you don't want to be stuck, because ultimately, without even realizing it, a lot of us by default have this bias that we think we are better than everyone we know. And that thing, that concept is called our ego. Now, if a lot of us are ego driven, then we need to find, and through like pattern recognition, go through every person we know and convince ourselves in our mind that no, I'm doing better because I have this, and this person is struggling with this. It's almost like people learn to capitalize off of others' struggles, and it is really sad. Okay, what is important for you when you're trying to grow and get unstuck is have support, is have people that are established within themselves to not feel bitter when you want to be positive, to not have someone constantly feed you negative BS so that you can stay drowning. You want to take your head out the water, and you actually want to see your life for what it is. So that is the most important thing. Know yourself, know your environment. Like, again, I mentioned this in my last video, but if my room wasn't formulated or made for me, I wouldn't grow here. I wouldn't get any benefit from being in my room and studying, for example. Like, I wouldn't want to study here if my room wasn't benefiting me. Like, you have to genuinely do things in your life that, yes, may seem selfish, but if the algorithm of your life involves people who cannot see success in their future, or they're bitter because someone has something that they don't, and they don't realize the potential within them to go and get it, then you know what you need to do, right? Like, it's just sometimes as harsh and as crass as that. I am a very patient person, so sometimes, like, yeah, I've cut people off in the past, but now it definitely takes me a lot longer, and I give people more chances to redeem themselves, because I know I'm not perfect. I've never once admitted that to anyone, whether it's in person or on the internet. Like, I've made my own mistakes, and I've definitely had my own feelings of bitterness towards others getting stuff that I want. Like, that is why I'm very comfortable talking about this topic. Because I have exhibited this behavior in the past, I can see it very well when other people project it onto their friends or onto their family, and it is sad. And from making this video, I want nothing but people to realize that, whether it's being projected onto them or whether they themselves are emanating that energy without even realizing it, because either way, it's going to eat you alive. It's going to eat you alive to have to absorb that information or even energy from someone else, or it's going to eat you alive because you're doing it to yourself. Okay, it has to stop, it has to end, otherwise you will keep living out the same days over and over again. It's not going to get better if you're not going to change it in order for it to be better. So I will be making a lot of videos with the topic of feeling stuck, because it is a very common theme amongst people in my life, and even seeing people online and what they've been struggling with. It's a very common topic right now in the self-development and wellness community. So I definitely want to use my voice to amplify and share my information on this topic. If you guys have had any of your own experiences of feeling stuck, definitely drop them in the comments below. I would love to chat with you. The big question of how do you get yourself unstuck, the very first thing I'm going to get into is stop comparing your life right now to the life you had before you got stuck. Okay, life murks people at any given time, anytime. And I am tired of hearing luck being brought into the question. The most privileged people on earth, who are born into wealth and riches and beautiful things that everyone craves materially, suffer. Why on earth are you being invisible and choosing to be invisible to your own issues and bringing someone else completely unrelated to you so that you can have a person to jab at, so you can have a person to dig at and say, well, you know, like, that was cringe. But that's what it feels like, you know. And I remember I used to keep myself justified like that when it came down to me struggling with my life. But someone is so, like, pristine in their life and they're doing so great, like, why can't I do great? Because I've convinced myself I cannot be great. Like, that was the past mindset I had. Whatever you are is whatever you think, and vice versa. You think what you are. I think, therefore I am. What you think you are right now, in this given moment in time, is a learned behavior. Whether you learned it from yourself and it's just a constant habit, you stuck on something in the past and now it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy living itself out. That's your doing, mind you. Okay, this is not to make you feel bad in any way. This is just the reality of it. Whether you have someone in your life who is poisoning your mind and telling you things about yourself like, oh, look at you, I feel so bad, and then they start comparing themselves to you and making themselves feel more advantaged because of the cards that you've been dealt. Both of those situations are so shit. Whether it's you comparing yourself to someone who is inherently better in whatever way, or someone else comparing themselves to you, with the knowledge I've let some people in on my life, and when I've risen from that and still chosen to go after certain things, it's like they are fighting to keep you stuck, or you're fighting to keep yourself stuck, because it's just comfortable. The one thing I want to say is, out of the two, situations that we have presented here, do not let yourself be the one that keeps yourself stuck. Let other people try. Let them, because when you have the good relationship with yourself that you've cultivated and spent so much time trying to attain, it's not going to matter. They're going to waste their energy and they're going to keep themselves stuck because you're not adding to this equation anymore. You know what? You're not feeding into that energy anymore. Bye. Like, that is what it is. Actively start to do what you care about and what you need to do with your life. Okay, this is the reason why I got off TikTok months ago. And I mean, there's many more reasons, but if you ever see me on TikTok, just know it's because I've done well with social media and I'm just strictly posting content on there. I will never, ever let my brain go through that same turmoil like TikTok put me through. TikTok will try and tell you what you should be doing with every single second of your life. And what is the issue with that? Is not everyone lives the same 24 hours. No one has struggled the exact same struggles as someone ever. It's all through a different brain that is processing their perception of life. So I don't want to hear how I should be spending every single hour of my day. I don't. Maybe I'll grab some inspiration from it, but I also don't want to be absorbing the negative and toxic opinions of people online. So when I cut that out of the equation and I started like looking at what I need to do with my life, I didn't even have time. I genuinely didn't have time to sit there and think, you know, like, how should I dampen my mood today? Like, that's not even a thing because I'm too busy. Now, I've mentioned driving yourself to the point of burnout. That is a completely different thing on its own. That is when we don't have boundaries with ourselves. That is when we don't have boundaries to know when we should stop something, to know when we should spread our day out a little bit better, maybe even spread something we need to do over a week instead of constantly doing everything in one day. Like, that's the burnout. But when it comes to stuff like that, it's just noise. At the end of the day, social media, if you're not using it to your benefit, is noise. When you start doing what you need to do with your life, when you've gone past the element of motivation, and things are actually starting to get difficult now because now you can't be motivated. Motivated is a very short-lived thing. Now you're leaning more into discipline. Okay, you're here with motivation, discipline is now somewhere here, and it is, as you can see, naturally a little bit of a downward slope. The last thing you need are enablers in your life, okay? And enablers, I know, is a common term for people who are addicted to something and they are stuck in their ways they cannot get out. Enablers are people or external forces that allow you to stay stuck. So again, I've mentioned this earlier, your enablers could be your friends, and it could be the way they perceive the world and themselves, and it bleeds into your life too. That could be enabling. What could be another example of enabling is when you're trying to get your shit together with life, you have things you need to do on a certain day, and your family or your friends don't respect your boundaries. You're in the middle of doing something that's important for you, for your career, and granted, you can still make time for these people, but they just don't respect the fact that you cannot be there in that given moment. That's a part of the equation too. That is enabling you to be stuck because you cannot focus on what you need to do at that given time. You have to tend to this person. It's like a kitten. I have a kitten right now, and she is like, it feels like she's hungry 24/7. Having these enablers in your life are people that are getting the satisfaction of you needing them. But if you no longer need them, they are going to convince you that you need them. See how toxic that can get? It's the same thing with social media and all that toxic content that you feed into. When you suddenly don't need it, it's gonna miss you. It's gonna find a way to reel you back in. And to me, that is like a very, very evil thing that we unfortunately all have to go through in our own way on this planet. And it sucks. But if you can make a promise to yourself to get to know yourself better, to nurture the relationship with yourself, like, I like to think that I'm not stuck in the past, but the only way that I'm stuck in the past is in a way that benefits me. I want to nurture the relationship I have with the inner child within me. I love playing Nintendo games. I love doing things that make me feel like I'm there mentally, right? Even like nurturing like my teenage self. What did I like to do in my teen years? How can I keep building that? And even without considering those younger versions of myself, what about now? Like, who am I now? And how fun is it that I'm growing every day and learning something new? These people don't want you to learn. Social media at its core doesn't want you to learn. It wants you to become dependent on it, right? So the minute that you can take your dependency out of these people to validate you or even keep you feeling comfortably stuck, that's when the game changes. That's when nothing can stop you, because you and the relationship that you have with yourself, nobody's home wrecking your home, because you've spent so long building it to the point where only you know how to get inside and out of this house. So do what you need to do, okay? Go get that degree. Move out. Start saving up money to move out, okay? Communicate with that person that is holding you down, whether it is your partner, your family, your friend. Talk to them. I know this is the most difficult thing you can do, especially if this is harder to realize that they're doing this. It doesn't matter. Don't even gaslight yourself asking, but they're such a good friend, we've been friends for so long. It doesn't matter. This is right now. And right now is really important because it is the framework for the future. So get all this like noise out of your head and focus. That is my biggest advice. Like, if you can focus and really put your energy towards what you want to do, and you start to realize how good this shit feels, your mindset will change. You're gonna think, why have I allowed this to happen for so long? Why have I wasted my time on these stupid apps? Or why have I not put my time management into more consideration in the past? You know what I mean? It's gonna be such an eye-opening experience for you, just as much as it is for me now. So we are in this together. Like, trust me, life can only get better when you plant the seed to deserve better and to want better. So if there is anything in this video that you want me to touch on and get deeper into in a separate video, please let me know. I'm here for a long time, so let me know. And remember, take reign of your own life.